God will never give you more than you can handle. He will never stretch you further than you're allowed. Everything worthwhile is uphill because it is an uphill climb. And there are times, there are days, there are moments where it's like, man, this is too much. She is my rock. And I think she would say the same thing, that I'm her rock in this whole journey that we're on. Kersha and I are 100-100. It is 100% where I'm in check in my lane and she's in her lane. It's not 50-50 because we're not just getting half of each other. We get 100% of each other. This can wait. I want to go do this with my kid because if I don't, I may never get this minute or this moment or anything with them. Biblically, it talks about submission. Sometimes it gets a negative connotation. The way Kersha and I perceive submission as being under one mission. You always hear people talk about how quickly life goes, and it's like you blink and your kids are graduating, they're getting married. It's difficult. It's hard to see the forest from the trees. But man, looking back, it's like, gosh, you miss those moments. Just the snuggles and the quiet time and just be there. She would always say, babe, you're gonna look back as you get older and you're gonna miss these things. Welcome back, everyone, to Crazy Unbelievable Faith. I am one of your co-hosts, Brian, and as you can see, my counterpart, Kersha, is not here with me today. But I want to thank you guys for joining in today, whether you're on video or whether you're listening. It's just definitely exciting, and I know with Kersha not being here, it's a great opportunity. Actually, I just kind of wanted to jump on and talk through some things from kind of my perspective. She is out doing some really cool things. Our daughter's a freshman. She attends CC, which is a co-op group for homeschool kids, and they have an opera protocol event thing going on this evening, and it kind of it segues into with Kersha being involved with her. Three things that kind of pop into my mind today as I sit down and recording this. Single parent mode. Whether you're married, whether you're single, but even when you are married and a spouse is off doing something, whether they're traveling for work, I've done that a lot. Kersha's been a single parent with our 5 children, and I've also been in that mode. So kind of talking through what does a single parent mode look like and how to survive that. I got a really funny story around that one. And then, really kind of, obviously our daughter being a freshman, like just, you always hear people talk about how quickly life goes, and it's like you blink and your kids are graduating, they're getting married. I mean, just, from bringing them home from the hospital. So we'll talk through that a little bit too. And then finally, just kind of, I think about, there's a term submission, and it's, biblically it talks about submission, and sometimes it gets a negative connotation. The way Kersha and I perceive submission as being under one mission. We've been around some amazing mentors, mentors and leaders that have sown into our lives. And through that being under one mission, we'll kind of unpack that a little bit too. So let's jump into, single parent mode. And funny story, I just have to start this off. So Kersha takes the kids out. If I'm traveling for work and they all go to the grocery store, she has 5 kids in tow. People give her the strangest looks in public. And it's kind of like, hey lady, don't you know how to prevent that from happening? Or people will come up and say, are they all yours? And the complete opposite happens when I take them out in public. We're at the grocery store. I'm walking down the aisle. I've got them, all around the shopping cart, things like that. And people are like, man, what an awesome dad. Good for you. Rah, rah, rah. Having no context to anything. That is just one of the funniest stories. And it happens frequently, not just the grocery store, other places Kersha goes to. If she's by herself or if I'm by myself, it's definitely, man, the perception in society, what's out there is crazy. But single parent mode, it's basically survival mode, okay, with 5 kids. It's, I kind of have this thinking in my mind, every once in a while you're going to lose a kid. Not really, I'm just kidding. But sometimes you think, okay, there's 5 of them, someone's going to get lost. But we have enough age ranges, they can kind of keep an eye on each other. It's kind of like the buddy system when we go out to a degree. But it is crazy when you go out and you're doing particular things, how rapidly things can change. It's just unfortunate, where we are right now. People need hope. They need encouragement in their life. Obviously, we have tons of crazy stories around circumstances and situations that have happened just for the 2 of us. But when you're in single parent mode, you are hypersensitive to things. You're hyper aware of things. And I think that was a component that Kersha, having former military background for her, really ingrained in me as we were dating, when we got married, and especially when we first had kids. was this like, you be aware of your situations, especially for females. It's like, hey, you go to the gas station, like you pull up at a gas pump and you're by yourself and it's dark. You got to make sure you got, well lit space. Like there's things that come into play for that. And just situational awareness. If people are following you up and down an aisle somewhere, just being aware of that. Sometimes people get so caught up, trying to manage their kids, or, they're looking at different things and they kind of miss cues, or even walking out to the parking lot and seeing things. It's crazy what's happening. Some of these stories that we hear that are out there. Again, I wouldn't encourage that for anyone. I wouldn't hope that on anyone, but I know there are people that are listening that have encountered these particular things. And that is, again, something that we're not immune to. Now, when Kersha and I are out together, it seems to be that those things seem to dissipate a little bit. But when you are in single parent mode, those things definitely come up. And I would encourage people, making sure that you're spending the time, you're keeping an eye out for those things, and you're watching for those cues when you're out in society. And then, we were talking about, situational awareness when the kids were first born. Kind of leads me to my next thought of how quickly life passes. I remember our oldest being a freshman. We're taking her home from the hospital. Here you are you go in, a husband and wife. Your wife is pregnant. Kersha's, full term. She's overbaked. It's past the term date. And so we go in the hospital, delivers the baby. Everything, mom, baby are healthy. And it's like they do a car seat check. You watch a video, and then it's like, okay, you're good to go. Wipe their hands, and we get in the vehicle, and I can still remember getting in the vehicle, just like yesterday. And you're driving home, and you're like, well, what do I do with this thing? There's no manual. It's harder to get a driver's license. It's harder to do all these other things. There's a test for it. Well, when you have a kid, and you go to the hospital, and it's like, here you go. Good luck. Figure it out. When do you feed them? When do you not? All these things came up. But man, it's just, we look back and, I was nervous carrying the car seat and the baby in a church, like, oh, don't cry, don't scream. And you sweat and you get nervous. That was just me. And it's like, and now you get in the second or third or, and really everybody says beyond 3, it's kind of like, it's just everyone's here for the party kind of a deal. But it is, there's things that you thought of at the beginning. You always hear the pacifier story with people. First baby, it's like, oh, we got to sanitize it, clean it, have an extra one. By the time the second or third or others come along, it's like you just blow on it and stick it back in their mouth and, send him with bottles and all of that thing. But it's those little things in life that you think going through. I remember Kersha telling me this, like, this too shall pass. And she would always say, babe, you're going to look back as you get older and you're going to miss these things. And I always said it in the moment, I'm like, absolutely not. Sleepless nights, screaming babies. Like, I got to get sleep. I remember driving and my eyes hurt so bad. I remember going to the eye doctor and the eye doctor's like, so how many kids do you have? I said, well, we had 3. And he's like, you getting much sleep? I was like, oh, and he's like, yeah, it's just, you got to get more rest and your eyes won't bother you. But it's just, you'll miss those moments. And honestly, she was wholeheartedly right. In the moment, it's difficult. It's hard to see the forest from the trees. But man, looking back, it's like, gosh, you miss those moments. Just the snuggles and the quiet time and just being able to just be there. Because now we're staring at a freshman. My gosh, you got 3 more years and she's an adult, she's on her own. And we have obviously others that are progressing right up the line too. It's just crazy. Our boys will be in kindergarten next year. They were the twins that came, post. It was just before COVID and before the world kind of shut down from that. And it's like, you think of, man, just, how, they're coming up on 6. And it's like, man, just time flies. And just really stepping back and enjoying those moments. I know a friend of mine had talked about, I remember him talking in his podcasts and snippets that he pushes out. Shout out to Chris Decker, by the way, for this. But he talked about I'll do it in a minute, just hold on, we'll do that in a little bit. And usually a little bit never happens. And I am guilty of this. So guilty of this. Is hey, hold on, we'll do it in a minute. I'm on a call, we'll do it in a minute. I've got this thing I have to get done, I'll get to it in a minute. And you're pushing them off to the side. And man, it's like, the next thing you know, they're the ones with the keys. And you're like, hey, can we go get a burger? Can we do, let's go do whatever. And they're like, I'm busy, I've got friends, I got things. And it's just scary. And, that again, the life moving quickly is something that I just think a lot of us need to just pause as Chris shared in his snippets, is like pausing and saying, you know what, this can wait. I want to go do this with my kid. Because if I don't, I may never get this minute or this moment or anything with them. And so really taking that to heart. And I think that leads me to kind of my final point, being under one mission, the submission piece. And people are like, oh, that's so bad. Like you just, your husband tells you what to do. It's nothing like that, man. Our household, Kersha and I are 100. It is 100%, 100% where I'm in check in my lane and she's in her lane. It's not 50-50 because we're not just getting half of each other. We get 100% of each other. But being submissive to one another means that we're under one mission. For the two of us, it's Kersha and I, and then here is God at the top. For us specifically. For others, it's maybe whatever they believe in that they're kind of, that they're focused on. But having hope and encouragement from somewhere is their goal. But for us, being under that mission, we know that as we start working towards it, she and I are both climbing closer to that pinnacle point for us. But being under one mission of, for us, it's our faith. It's God is number one in our life. And number two is Kersha and I. That's kind of our filter system. Kersha and I come before our children. Like if there's problems with us, we need to fix that before we get to our children. Otherwise, it bleeds over into them. So first level is God, our Father in heaven for us. Second is Kersha and I. Third is our children, our blood children. And fourth is everyone else. It could be business partners. It could be, great relationships, friends from church, colleagues, things like that. But if those first or second or third tier levels are not in check, if we're not rowing in the same direction, man, like you talk about the wheels falling off. And I'm sure others can experience and can feel that sense from themselves that like these things happen in our households. Like no day is perfect. Oh my gosh, like I wish it was perfect. I mean, and I'm still guilty of this. There's challenges where it's like things get spilt or broken or whatever. And you're like, gosh, what is going on? But it's like, in the grand scheme of it, is that going to impact me in 3 to 5 years from now? Absolutely. Majority of it, absolutely not. And so it's like, why are we letting these molehills turn into mountains right now? And so really keeping things in perspective. Kersha and I do a great job of keeping each other in check. Okay, there are days she's up and I'm not, and there are the opposite days I'm up and she's not. We try as much as we can to not both be down. Okay, one has, because you got to pull each other up. And again, you work as a team. We're rowing in the same direction. We're not competing against each other. I know she's not here right now, but it's like we're not competing with each other. I don't one up or jabber in public of like, gosh, I wish you did that, or my old lady's not here. We don't talk like that to each other. We love, we encourage, we uplift one another. And for some that may not fit for them, and that's fine. But for us, it's like we want to edify each other. I want to build her up. I mean, I am so blessed. I am so thankful to walk through life, to navigate life, to learn in life alongside her. She is my rock. And I think she would say the same thing, that I am her rock in this whole journey that we're on. I mean, literally, crazy, unbelievable faith. I told her for the longest time when this title and this topic came up, I was like, can it just be easy downhill coasting in life? Wouldn't that be awesome? Yeah, that's not going to happen. And John Maxwell had coined that phrase, everything worthwhile is uphill. And I stick to that because it is an uphill climb. And there are times, there are days, there are moments where it's like, man, this is too much. God will never give you more than you can handle. He will never stretch you further than you're allowed. But the reality of that stretching, it's like that rubber band example. Some of you have probably seen this. When a rubber band is there, it's used, it's taut, it can stretch a little bit. But sometimes it won't fit over certain things or clumps of items you can't put in there. But the more you stretch that rubber band a little bit every day, the more it can hold, the more elastic it becomes. And that's the same thing. God's stretching our faith at the same time. And man, he has pushed us. He's challenged us. But we have been blessed. I am so thankful. Again, there's so much more that we can unpack from these things. I want to, and I know with Kersha not being here, we'll probably hit some more of these topics and come back to them. But man, just being able to think single parent mode, kind of going back to that, being aware of things, being cognizant when you're out, it's crazy. And then there are funny stories, again, way people perceive things. But then second to that is just how quickly life progresses. Those challenges don't make mountains out of molehills is the reality of that. And the third of just being under one mission, just having goals, having dreams, having the ability to work together in that common interest, uplifting one another, helping each other when you can. Not everybody's going to be perfect. Not everything's going to work out exactly. It has not in our life by any means. But when you have a partner that you can run through life with, or if you're looking for that partner, man, jot down those things that you want to see in that person. And I would bet 9 times out of 10, those qualities are the things that you need to work on yourself. So until next time, Chris Decker, shout out to you. Thank you for the support with all of this. And to my lovely bride, I know she's not here. I want to tell her thank you and I love you. And until next time, we'll talk to you guys then. Have a great day.